This film is a prime example of what a good marketing campaign can do for your movie. I'm gonna keep this review spoiler free, so don't worry, but I feel like this is one of those movies that's really gonna divide people. Longlegs is a movie that I didn't really have any expectations for because I didn't exactly know what to expect. I was gonna go see this movie regardless, even though I never heard of this. I never heard of this movie until like 2-3 weeks ago. I was just looking through the movie theater app. I saw this movie called Longlegs. I saw that it was some sort of cop murder mystery movie, and I was like, if I got time, sure, I'll go see it. And then within the last week on Twitter, I saw a bunch of tweets talking about this movie debuts with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. This person's heart rate jumped from 70 to 120. This is the scariest movie of our generation. You'll be scared to walk by a dark shadow. For me, I'm old enough to realize immediately that this was just marketing talk. I mean, they've done this for movies in the past. They'll be like, oh, this person had to be taken out on a stretcher. But I didn't know that this was a horror movie. So when I saw that this was a horror cop murder mystery, now I'm more interested. I also didn't realize that Nicolas Cage was in this movie until like 4 days before I went to go see it. Me personally, I'm not a big Nicolas Cage fan, but I respect the movies that he does because he seems to pick films that are off the wall and not the usual stuff. For what he was asked to do in this movie, I actually thought he was good. The movie stars Maika Monroe, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She played the lead of the movie, Lee Harker, who's an FBI agent. We also get my guy Blair Underwood, who I still look at funny because of his performance in Medea Family Reunion. Across the board, I thought the acting from everyone was really good. The main character, Lee, is this socially awkward FBI agent, and she's really good at solving crimes. If you've watched a handful of crime TV shows or movies, she's one of those cops that's really good at noticing details that other people miss. You have this killer named Longlegs who's been murdering people for years. Lee and her boss Carter, played by Blair Underwood, they take the case and try to stop anyone else from getting killed, and then we're off with the story. Now when it comes to the plot of this movie, I feel like it's really hard to talk about without spoiling, so I'm just gonna give my general thoughts on this film. I feel lied to. I feel like the marketing for this movie completely lied in my opinion, and I feel like this is a film that's going to have people really divided on how they feel. But first, let me tell you what I do like. Again, I thought the acting in this was really good. I've seen online that some people hate the performance of Maika Monroe as the main character Lee, but I didn't really have any issues. Her character is weird, her character is awkward, but I feel like that was clearly the direction that she was given for the character, so didn't really bother me. I also really like the style in which this movie was shot. Like, it felt very indie-like, which I feel like is a bad way to describe it. I love the way they used the colors, I love the way they used the lighting, and they also had some really interesting shots. It was also one scene where they had this trippy effect with how they moved the camera. I don't want to spoil it, but if you've seen the movie, it's kind of towards the end, you probably already know what I'm talking about. It was also really noticeable how almost every camera shot in this movie was really wide. Like, you'll have a tight shot of a character, and then the camera is still very wide. Like, you'll see a lot of background, you'll see a lot of headroom. It was a lot of static camera shots where the camera was just left wide. You can see the entire room, you can see the entire landscape, and the characters are just going about doing their thing. It was almost like the camera wasn't there. But this movie, it was just very artsy in a way. I feel like that's kind of a bad way to describe it, but it was clear they were going for a certain style that some people might not like, but for me, I thought it was cool. The story of the character Longlegs I thought was pretty interesting, especially once you start to know why and how he's doing these killings. Nicolas Cage is almost unrecognizable with the makeup that he has on, but that's really it. I like the acting, I like the way that it was shot, and I guess you could say the lore of Longlegs, but that's really it. What I didn't like about this movie, it wasn't scary even a little bit. It wasn't a single scene in this movie that made me feel uneasy even a little bit. My heart rate stayed the exact same the entire movie, and I feel like for me personally, I might have enjoyed this movie if it wasn't marketed as a horror film. Like, this is literally just a cop movie with horror elements like sprinkled throughout it. The main thing with this movie is that it's a really slow burn. It's like this movie was going 25 miles per hour for most of it, and then it stopped, and then it went 0 to 60, and then the movie was over. It's very much like Hereditary, which I'm also not a big fan of that movie. Hereditary, I also felt like was really slow, and then it ramped up quickly at the end. I feel like I would have enjoyed this more if I didn't see any of the marketing and I went in thinking that this was just another cop movie, because for me, I thought this movie was boring. I thought this movie was really slow, and I thought this movie was very predictable. It was parts at the end of this movie that makes absolutely no sense, and then when you learn why everything is going on, they explain it to you like you're a child. Like, this is going to be one of those movies I feel like really divides polarized people. Like, it's going to be some people that really love the pacing of this movie, and then you're going to have people like me that hates the pacing of this movie. You're going to have people like me that doesn't think this movie was scary for even a second, and then you're going to have some people that think this was the creepiest movie ever. I just know for me, I don't plan on ever watching this again. Even with my criticisms, I do want people to go out and support this movie because I do love that this is an original story and that this studio wasn't afraid to try something different. Like, my coworker, she saw this, she loved this movie. For me, I didn't like it that much. It just wasn't for me. As of this recording, Longlegs is projected to make between 20 and 23 million in its opening weekend. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 87% and a fan rating of 66%. I'm leaning more with the fans on this one. I'm gonna give this movie a 6, which is an above average on my scale. Good acting, cool film style, but the movie is a really slow burn with the ending that'll either make or break the rest of the film for you. I feel like I'm the complete opposite of a lot of people because I actually preferred the ending portions of the movie more than the slow build-up. Like, I was like, all right, come on, let's get to it. But I seen online, it seems like a lot of people, they prefer that slow build-up and then they were really disappointed by the ending. This movie just wasn't for me. I would say that I liked a movie like Talk to Me or Late Night with the Devil a lot more than this. And like I say with all of my movie reviews, especially for the films that I don't really like, if you like this movie, cool. These reviews, this is just me telling you my opinion. This is not me telling you what I think you should think. So if you like this movie, I love it for you. I'm happy that you have a different opinion than me. This just wasn't for me. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things on this channel. What are your thoughts on this movie? If you give your thoughts, please try to keep it spoiler free. Even though I'm not a fan, I do love that this movie is doing well in the box office, and I do want people to go out and actually support this movie, support an original film. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Love you guys. Tell someone you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.